The idea of stacking is going to look to a lot of people like different aspects of cognitive behavioral therapy, cognitive restructuring, like the whole aspect of trying to help you change the mindset, change the reality. For me, I was stuck in a current reality that I thought was good. I thought I was a good person. I thought I was a good guy. I said I was a good person, even though I was still cheating on my wife, even though I was still doing things that was abusive. And I was stuck in a current reality saying, hey, this is my current reality. And that current reality was based on different lies that I was believing, saying that I am a good person, that I was in love with other people, that I deserve all of this, all these different things. And all these things and thoughts were in my head saying, hey, this is the reality that I deserve. This is the reality that I'm in. And when people start to realize that you're not in that current frame of reality, life starts to shift. And I want to explain part of the formula to be able to do this. Part of the formula that you can actually sit down and start to understand how to be able to work through this process of like, wait a second, is the reality that I'm currently in, is it currently real? Or is it made up of the lies that I believe from the narcissist, from the toxic person? Is it made up of the rules and the regulation that this person has imposed upon me? Or is it made up of the stories that I've been telling myself? So we're going to walk through this. It's 4 steps. 4 steps that we're going to walk through to help you understand this process of rewiring your mindset. The first one is to stop. Now, when I say stop and understand that the current reality that you're in might not be 100% real. The current thought process of like, if I did something better, then he might actually stay. Maybe there's something more to that. Maybe there's something that's not real about that. I just want you to just pause and kind of just try to stop for a second. Try to look at the situation from the outside and be like, wait a second, let me consider a couple other things versus what has been told to me versus what I believed for such a long period of time. So the first aspect is just stop. The second one is called submit. And when submit, I'm talking about submitting to the facts. Okay, the facts of the situation. Now, when we talk about the facts, we're not talking about your truth. We're not talking about his truth. We're not talking about my truth. We're not talking about anybody's truth because truth can be subjective. The facts cannot, because the facts are based on evidence. The facts are based on what we see demonstrated on a day-to-day basis. So when I say submit to the facts, actually take a look and be like, okay, what are the facts that are actually going on in this situation? He says he loves me, but he keeps cheating on me. He says he loves me, but he's been abusive. But he's been, and you go through and you list out all of the facts. You start realizing, hey, these facts look a little bit different than what I've been telling myself. Because I've been telling myself I'm not good enough, which is why he's doing this. And then you put down all the facts. Well, he's been belittling me. He's been hurting me. He's been abusing me. You start to realize there's all these different facts that don't support that original story that you've been telling yourself. This produces the third aspect, which is the struggle. The struggle of like, what do I believe? Because now my current reality is starting to shift. I realized by stopping, my current reality doesn't actually match up. It's been imposed upon me by another person. It's been imposed upon me by only thoughts, my stories, my regulations, all the different things have been placed upon me. And so I stop and I look at the facts, and then you move into the struggle piece. And the struggle piece is where it gets really, really hard. Because then it starts breaking down in your mind and you're like, was any of this real? Like, did he actually love me? Was the entire relationship fake? And you move into this piece where you're struggling between the facts versus your stories, the facts versus your truth, the evidence versus what you think. And this goes back and forth until you get to the place where you're like, I have to make a decision. And you realize the only way that you can make a decision is by going forward with the facts. And this brings up the fourth aspect, which is called strike, which is calling you to action. Calling you to make a decision between your stories and between the facts and be able to move forward and understanding, hey, this is what was demonstrated. So many people are like, he said he loved me and that he would be with me forever. And then I'm like, where is he now? Well, he's with another person, but he says he loves me. Where's he now? We have to get so granular with the facts. If you do not start to ground yourself based on the facts, you will be lost in a land of fantasy and you will continue moving forward, thinking that you're going to heal, hoping that it'll happen, wondering why it doesn't happen because we're not getting real with the facts. That's what it is. The facts of the situation. But we have to walk through this scenario, because otherwise you will continue to walk through life thinking it's okay. You'll start to minimize it. You'll start to excuse it. You'll start to be like, it's not that big of a deal. Like he only yelled at me a couple times, or he never hit me, so it must not have been that bad. At least I'm still alive. And you start to explain it away with humor, and you start to minimize the abuse that has happened to you over and over and over again. I just want you to realize for a brief moment, the current reality that you're currently in, what you're currently in is a frame of reality that might not be real. It might not. There might be pieces of what's going on in your life right now that might not be real. You're like, yeah, I get that, because he's been a liar the entire way. That's not all that I'm talking about. What might not be real is the thoughts that you have about yourself in the relationship. If I would have done better, then he would have still been here. If I would have given him more sex, then he wouldn't have gone and cheated with me with another woman. If I would have been more loving and more kind in my approach, then maybe our communications issues would have been solved. If I would have done, and you start to doubt yourself saying, if I would have done all these things, maybe it would have been better. What we found in talking with hundreds of survivors and coaching hundreds of people is that how you show up in the relationship with a toxic person will only shorten or lengthen the time that you're with them, but it will not change the end result. Because it is not up to you to change that person. It is not up to you to change the end result. It is up to that person to decide to make changes. If they're not willing to be honest, vulnerable, or show that consistency in their change, nothing will change. This whole piece, you need to understand that when you get to the place of realizing that your current frame of reality is not actually real, because it is based on the stories that have been told to you, it's based on the lies that you have believed, it's based on the rules and the regulations that he's placed upon you, that other people have placed upon you, and you're left thinking, I don't know what's real anymore. I want to invite you to stop for a second, submit to the actual facts. What are the facts of the situation? And then sit down with those, write those down, and start struggling with them. Like you're going to go back and forth arguing with yourself of like, but I know this is real. What do the facts say? But I felt this way. What does the facts say? But it was the best relation. What do the facts say? You have to get so granular. This is the way out. But we have to get really clear about the facts. Then you have to work through the last step, which is to actually take action and to say, okay, I know what the facts are. I have to trust the facts versus what I'm feeling, versus what I'm believing. I have to trust the facts, and I have to act upon that. This whole piece of walking through this system is what we teach inside the Clarity Challenge, of helping people understand that there is a system and there is a process of you getting real with the story that is in your head that is keeping you stuck inside a toxic relationship. And until we change that, you will always be stuck. You will always be trapped. Because it doesn't take no contact to be healed. It doesn't get fixed with moving across the country. It doesn't get fixed with knowing everything about narcissism. It doesn't get fixed by you just moving on saying, time will heal this, we'll figure it out. What gets fixed and what helps you move forward in the healing process is you going through this process to rewire the story that you believe. Otherwise, your current reality will keep you as a prisoner and you will stay stuck.